Another night of harness racing at Tabcorp Park, Menangle, and tonight's feature race is the Joe and Michael Ilsley Free-for-All. It's a special running of the race this year as it coincides with the launch of a brand new book about Joe Ilsley and his family in harness racing. Let's go and meet the author Peter Collier and find out what drove him to write the book. Peter, the Joe Ilsley story, trotting's Mr. Nice Guy. You must be so proud.
Yeah, very proud, Greg. It's a wonderful man, and it was great to write the story on the bloke, and also all his great family. They're lovely, wonderful people and had a great history in the sport.
Why did you decide to write a story on Joe?
Well, over the years I've had known Joe since I was a young child, and I spoke to him a number of times and just had great stories. A man you could just sit there and just talk, and he had a great story, but he had some great horses. And as I was growing up through the old Harold Park days, I used to love Rocket Glenfern. He was a great juvenile, and I just thought, well, he's a lovely man, and he had some great horses over the years. He had a long career of 50 years and had some real good paces, and I thought, well, it's a nice story and a lovely family. How long has it taken you to put the story together? Oh, well, I must admit, I did do a lot of interviews with Joe before he died in 2007, but yes, the last 12 months has taken me. The family asked me last year if I'd be interested in doing something for him, so I said, yeah, no, I'd love to do it. So it's taken a while, but it's just a lot of research and just to make sure I get everything right. There is a lot of research in the book. You go back to Joe's forefathers and take us through his grandparents and parents' lives. Yeah, it's actually interesting. A lot of the family history the actual kids don't know anything about, and it was interesting to find that one of Joe's uncles was actually a very successful jockey, and he rode the winner of the 1935 Sydney Cup. So the family didn't know that, and actually when I was researching and more deep into it, a lot of the family members all went to war, the First World War or the Second World War. So it's very interesting history. Joe wasn't born into horses, really, was he? He was. There was always an interest there, but he came up with his own training regime. Oh yes, he had some training regimes are interesting. He used to talk about the way, and he used to say to me, he said, "No, there's no way of training, proper way of training. You just go and do what you think's right." How the horse feels, and that's the way he trained all his life. And I think it's a testament to his ability and knowledge and being able to adapt to many different ways that he was so successful. He was the first horse whisperer by the sounds of it, because he did like to get inside the horse's head and really make them feel good, because then they would perform good on the racetrack. Yeah, that's correct. I mean, as you'll find with most of his horses, they never had a lot of gear. And he used to, he'd get a horse off someone and he'd always say that, take everything off and go back to basics, which is what he did. And a lot of his good horses, and Old Double Agent was a prime example where he had hardly any gear at all. And that's the way he was, and he just liked his horses, and he used to talk to them. He used to train them twice a day, some horses. And one of his old stories was he used to Rocket Glenfern a number of times. He'd work him at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, hose him down, and he'd put him on the float and take him to Harold Park to race. And that's just the way he was. He just thought that was the best way for his horses. But he said they're all individuals and you had to treat them all different. The kid's got a great upbringing too, his kids. They used to go away for summer holidays up to Queensland, and they'd take a couple of horses with them and enjoy it and make some money while they were up there. Yes, yeah. Joe started off in about 1959. I think the first Christmas they went up there, and they went for about 3 or 4 years every year, and he'd take old Tart and Tie or Phillips Elect with them, and only 2 years in a row they won 12 races each, horses. And it was, they used to pile in the car and take off up there, and they were good friends with Noel Price up in Queensland. And they used to camp at the showgrounds at Redcliffe there in the tent, and it just, great Christmases. And all the kids just cherish it because they've all remember it very well. And some of the kids went on to become involved in the sport and had very good careers. Yes, I mean, Michael, who sadly passed away a couple of years ago, Michael's a very good trainer and very well respected in the industry because he trained for a lot of very high profile people, in Greg Brodie and some of those blokes. And he was very good. Isabel trained a lot in her own right, but she worked for Michael for a long time too. And interesting, and Phil trains too, but it's interesting that they all still love the sport. But, they're not involved now as much as what they were years ago, but they all still love it and love the trots. And of course, he
he trained the horse that knocked off San Simeon when he was going for 30 in a row.
Yes, it was quite interesting. I was just talking to Isabel up there, and she hasn't driven for a number of years. I said, oh, well, we might have to find you a horse to get in a race with Waikiki Beach when the time comes. And she said, wouldn't it be ironic? But she'd know they go a bit quick for me nowadays.
And where can people get the book? If they would like to get their hands on a copy, how do they do it?
Well, Bruce and the team here at Tabcorp Park will be very good. We're going to sell them here from the informations centre here in the building. Also, from tomorrow, I'll have them on eBay. My brother has an eBay shop, so we'll sell them on eBay as well. And I'm going to try and get them through Garage, because I know there's some people in Queensland and other parts of Newcastle and that would be very interested. So that's what we're going to try and do. It all goes out in the next few days. Is it fair to say it was a labour of love? Yeah, labour of love, yeah. So it was one that it was originally part of another book I was doing, but I pulled it out and did it on its own. I thought it deserved one on its own, it's labour of love, and it's just a wonderful story, wonderful family, and it's just a tribute to a great man. And who was the first person to buy a book? It's interesting, I was at a galloping function last Monday, and Robbie Waterhouse wanted to buy one, so I had a couple of copies in my bag. So yes, Robbie was very happy, and he's a man that well known in the industry, but he still enjoys his harness racing. Pete, it's a great read. People should do themselves a favour and get the book and find out more about Joe Ilsley or relive some great memories from the days. Yes, there's great memories, and yes, I hope everyone enjoys the read. And there's a lot of people I'd like to thank. I mean, Menangle have been very good here, Bruce and his team, and also I'd like to thank John Dumacy for doing the forward. He was a passionate Joe fan, and he was absolutely privileged to do the forward for the book. And yes, it was, as I say, a labour of love and a great story. Wish you all the best of luck with it. Thank you very much, Greg.